Yes, people. What's going on? It's the nketiah on AGTV, and we're back again with another video. Today, what we're going to be talking about is reacting to the All or Nothing new episodes that have just dropped, episode 4, 5, and 6. And if you guys don't know, episode 4 is called is called Respect, Commitment, and Passion, where they speak about a lot of stuff. Then you also got episode 5 that is called The Exit, predominantly talking about the January window and the exit of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And we have episode 6 that speaks about Super Mikel Arteta, where the fans and everyone gets behind the manager and gets behind the goal of last season, which was to try to get back into the Champions League, which of course we subsequently ended up not getting. But let's get through what we learned from today's episode. So the first episode, let me just get my notes ready, guys, because I take notes throughout these shows, right? So the first thing that this episode starts off with is a fantastic speech from Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta absolutely went in and gave these guys a fantastic speech before that game against Southampton. And he went absolutely in on these guys, and they went and they worked their socks off. And this was the game where we scored one of the best goals of the season, where we played it at the back from Ramsdale to the defenders, to then Tomiyasu to Xhaka driving down, cutting it back, Lacazette goal, bang, and they just showed that sequence and the emotion and everything around it. And this was off the back of Aubameyang just being stripped of the captaincy after the whole debacle, with him being late, not showing up to training, missing training, situations like that. And just everything around that episode just showed you guys the raw emotions around that game. Also, a big factor in this game, in this whole run, after we lost Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang as the captain, he didn't end up coming back into the team. He was isolated from the team, put in training with the youngers, and was told, you can't be with the first team. He went on and did, and then went to go do other stuff with the rest of the team. He was isolated from the team at that point. Gabriel Martinelli then became a big part of the team. Gabriel Martinelli was integral in that moment when Aubameyang went out. He stepped up big time because Lacazette was not scoring the goals. Martinelli was the guy who was stepping up, scoring goals against Leeds. If you guys don't remember, Leeds away. He also scored goals in other games going into that moment against West Ham. I think it was West Ham away. Was it away or was it at home? I think it was at home, actually. It was West Ham at home, because we played the West Ham away game near the end of the season. And they showed a moment of where Edu and Gabriel Martinelli were talking before the game and just getting to know each other and just having that camaraderie. And you could show that Edu and Martinelli have a good connection, and it showed around that moment. And also how the club and everyone in the team supported Mikel Arteta throughout this period where he stripped Aubameyang of the captaincy. He gave the captaincy to Lacazette. To be honest, and when Lacazette got it, everyone was just saying this was a big call, big move from Mikel Arteta, and they backed it fully. They fully backed it, and that was nice to see that everyone was getting behind Mikel Arteta, and everyone was getting behind Mikel Arteta with that decision that he made. And also, then we had the situation with COVID coming around. COVID came back, and they showed that what was going on with that club at that moment in time. You had people celebrating, you had people giving each other celebrations after the game. You could see the camaraderie that was built in that dressing room. Arteta's speeches, post-match, pre-match, everything throughout this whole 3 episodes, you could see how he's a man motivator, and he motivates these players to go out there and to perform to the level that he needs them to. And before that Manchester City game, just to end this episode 4, you know what happened? Arteta got COVID, and he needed to isolate, and he couldn't be there on the touchline for the game versus Man City. So he had to call in via face cam, and he had to speak to them through from his home. And he was telling them, you guys need to go out there, you need to do this, you need to do that. And he was pumping them up, cussing and blinding, left, right, center. And they went out there and they put in one of their best performances against Manchester City. We didn't end up winning, and Gabriel ended up getting a red card. And when he went to the dressing room, first thing he said was that ref. Everyone knew Stuart Atwell messed up. Stuart Atwell really messed us up. But you know what? It is what it is. We move on. And that's how the episode ended. The episode ended with the game, and we moved on to episode 5. So now moving on to episode 5, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 5 was an interesting one, to say the least. Episode 5 was something to see. What happened in episode 5 was interesting too, because in episode 5 we got to see the start of the January window. We got to see the start of the January window and the problems Aubameyang was causing. The team went for warm weather training. Aubameyang didn't go. Right. There were situations where there's disciplinary issues. There was even 4 players that Mikel Arteta spoke about when he came back that were not training well. He was saying there was 4 specific players that were laughing, not getting involved, not really doing the proper things that he needed to get done in that dressing room, and were really pissing him off. But yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work, right? Then you have he also spoke about the game against Nottingham Forest, where we went away to Nottingham Forest and we lost 1-0 in that FA Cup battle. Eddie Nketiah started that game. Nuno Tavares was subbed off at halftime. Arteta really grilled these players after that game. He said to them, "This is not good enough. This is not good enough." He was pissed off from the performance that they put in against Nottingham Forest, and he's saying these are not the standards that I want to see. He grilled them. And I highly suggest anybody to go watch that episode 5, where he absolutely grilled those players after we lost in that FA Cup final. It was very emotional. He then started to say he's going to give Eddie Nketiah more run, and this was a moment where they introduced Eddie Nketiah, spoke about Eddie Nketiah's thing and everything else. But yeah, it made sense why he introduced Eddie Nketiah at that time, because Lacazette was not in form, Lacazette was not doing well, and everything else. Then a moment came where we got to actually meet Tim Lewis. Tim Lewis was speaking about how he supports the manager, how he supports Arteta with everything that he can support him with. And Tim Lewis is somebody who works in the board. He's not really part of the footballing project. So when speaking, he's like, I never suggest anything on the footballing end. I literally just go behind the scenes and help Arteta with whatever I can help him with. So that was interesting to hear from Tim Lewis. Then we had successive games against Liverpool. We had the League Cup game where Xhaka got the red card, everything else, and they showed us the situations on how Xhaka felt after getting the red card, how everyone felt after that whole moment, and it was pretty crazy, right? We already spoke about Nuno's sub. Nuno had a terrible game that game also. Then you go into the moment where he spoke about Xhaka's family. He also spoke about Xhaka's family and everything around Xhaka's family. They also got into Aubameyang and everything going on with Aubameyang and him wanting to leave, and everyone understanding that he wanted to leave. And when they made that call that Aubameyang wanted to leave, they had to get rid of him. But one interesting thing that was missed, they spent a lot of time addressing Granit Xhaka and the situation that happened back against Crystal Palace. And this was a really, really in-depth moment where they're speaking about Granit Xhaka, speaking about his family. After the red cards, they spoke about how he got continuous red cards. They spoke about how sometimes he can't even sleep, and went after a bad performance. And he takes football so serious that he takes his work back home with him, and his attitude for the whole day is ruined. And they're showing how much football means to him, and he understands that he's just a human, and everyone's getting on to him about his performances, and he knows that like he needs to improve, but at times he can't help himself but just be that raw emotional person. And it makes you really feel for Granit Xhaka in this moment in time, because I remember how much abuse he was getting after those red cards. I remember how much abuse he was getting after the game against Liverpool away, where we ended up drawing the game. But he even said it himself. If he didn't get that red card and they go on to score, people would still be getting onto him because they went on to score. So in the long run, it did work out because we ended up drawing the game, but we didn't end up getting past Liverpool because the next game we ended up losing, right? But yeah, there was another interesting thing. He spoke about Pepe. Arteta spoke about Pepe and something about Pepe. It's being in Dubai. When they're in Dubai, he spoke about Pepe's castle, making it seem like Pepe is a problem in the team, or implying that Pepe might be a problem in the dressing room. He said something across the lines, like he said in Spain, in Spanish, we call it casa Pepe, speaking about Pepe's castle. I'm like, what could that mean, Pepe's castle? I really was intrigued by that. I thought that was an interesting moment when he was speaking about that. But everyone acknowledged top four was the goal. Top four was what we are going to do. And then there started to be a lot of questions around the future of Aubameyang and what was going to happen with Aubameyang. And this is where things started progressing. Edu, the lawyers, Vinay, and Richard Garland sat down and made a plan. They decided that they're going to sell Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They couldn't find a seller, so then they decided they're going to try to loan Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They couldn't find a loan. Then they found out Aubameyang was actually in Spain. He landed in Barcelona airport, and they're like, what the hell is he doing in Barcelona? Edu then calls Aubameyang's agent and says to Aubameyang's agent, what is your player doing in Spain? He said to him, "Oh, his father lives there." And he said, and you know what? Edu jokingly said, "Yeah, and I live in Disneyland," or something like that. So they were quite pissed off. Then they make a call to Barcelona after they've decided that they will terminate Aubameyang's contract, because prior to that, they were having discussions on how they're going to bring him back into the team. But it was quite evident that Mikel Arteta and the team didn't want him back. That's the team backstage, and they supported Mikel Arteta's prowess. Then you have videos of Rory Jennings, Jessica Black, of course, and Babs and other fans talking about how this is a bold move, letting Aubameyang go and not bringing somebody in, ending off the January window with no signing and getting rid of Pablo Mari, getting rid of Ainsley Maitland-Niles, getting rid of Aubameyang, and still not signing anyone and bringing anyone else through the door to replace him. This was a bold call. Mikel Arteta made that call. And the people backstage, like Richard Garland, like Edu, backed him fully to the hill and made it happen. It was an interesting moment. But Aubameyang had to go, and they felt like it was the best thing for both parties. So now, moving on to episode 3. Episode 3 was episode 6, the third episode that was released yesterday, was an interesting one to say the least. They were all quite interesting, and I highly suggest you guys to watch all 3 of them. But this was the one I would say had the least explosive moments. So now Aubameyang to Barcelona is done. They've now set it up. Everything's being sorted out. They're just showing you the final moments of the departure in the 6th episode. They're showing you how he actually left and his announcement. There was a huge amount of pressure and criticism on Mikel Arteta off the back of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang being sold, and everyone questioning why he was sold, how he was sold, what made him sell him, why he would do this in this moment in time. And then the pressure started to heap on Aubameyang, started to heap on the team. They showed Arsenal versus Brentford, and Mikel Arteta using the image of, let me pull it up for you guys. Mikel Arteta went out of his way to go get the tweet that thing made after the game versus in the first game of the season, and used it as motivation to push the team. He showed them this and he said, guys, look at this. Look at what they're doing to you. They're taking you guys as a joke. He used that tweet to motivate them, and they went out there and they went fiery and they fought. They won that game 2-1 at home. But guess what? This is where we find out the mentality of some of these players. Ramsdale, after not getting a clean sheet and conceding a goal so late, he shows that he's visibly upset once again and showing that he gets it. Ramsdale gets it, ladies and gentlemen. Ramsdale has the mentality of a winner. Even though we won the game 2-1, he was visibly upset. Even though we won the game 2-1, the rest of the team was visibly upset. They wanted that clean sheet as much as they wanted to win. And it showed in that moment that these guys were fighting. They were fighting not only for the wins, but to keep those clean sheets. And the clean sheet was almost as if they lost the game. When they came back in that dressing room, no one was celebrating, high-fiving. We won the game 2-1, but no one was celebrating. No one was high-fiving. They were disappointed in how the game ended. They felt like they should have ended that game with a clean sheet. They felt like they should have done more to secure that win in a more comfortable fashion. And that showed that they had the hunger and desire, and they were switched on for the rest of the season. And at that moment, Arteta was speaking about starting to build a connection with the fans. Arteta was then speaking about Lacazette being the captain now. Arteta was then getting people to integrate Lacazette and speak to Lacazette and try to get him more involved because he was struggling. He wasn't scoring goals. He was building up play. He was doing well with his back to goal, but he wasn't getting the goals. So he was having one-on-one training, looking at footage of how Benzema does his thing, and they were showing him where he needs to be, when he needs to be there, and how he needs to do what he needs to do. And it was pretty interesting. And then they went into the Wolves game at home. The Wolves game at home, the team talk, guys. Mikel Arteta's team talks are so motivating. It makes you want to go through a brick wall. And I'm not surprised that some of these players fight for Mikel the way they fight for Mikel. It was really good to see. And then Ben White speaking about his struggles. Did you guys know Ben White said his father didn't watch football? He said his father actually hated football. He said majority of his family didn't even watch football. He got into a football through a neighbor kicking a ball around with a neighbor. And he said he was never one of the most talented players. He always had to work extra hard to get to the level that he's at. And Mikel Arteta was then linking that to the character that he was looking for in a player. And just speaking about Mikel Arteta and what he thought about that, right? Now, here's an interesting one. At halftime against that Wolves team, I forgot to mention this, Granit Xhaka basically says what we always say. The team passes the ball back way too much. Stop passing the ball back. Play the ball forward. Get forward, get forward, get forward. Stop being scared. Granit Xhaka, I'm not going to lie. I started to like Granit Xhaka a lot more after watching some of these episodes because he's literally voicing the opinions that we have as fans of the struggles and frustrations that we have as fans. And he was telling them exactly what we wanted to hear. Honestly, man. Granit Xhaka's respect levels went up a little bit for me after a couple of these episodes. Just holding some of these players accountable, holding them accountable and telling them what they needed to do. Ramsdale then speaking about his injury before the Aston Villa game and speaking about how it's been his first injury. We also lost to Liverpool in a very poor manner. And the sad thing was, Arteta asked these guys to go out there and have a good night. We lost the game 2-0, and he still came out and said, you know what, we didn't have a good night, but we fought. And that's all you could ask for at that point. Liverpool, we know they're a different level to Arsenal at this moment in time, and that's just the reality. And then to end it off, Aston Villa away. Ramsdale's injured, first injury of his career, and first injury at Arsenal. Leno's coming in. Away fans supporting the team. Everyone's in conjunction working together. We end up winning the game, and the game ends in applause for the team, applause for the managers, and the cheers of we got Super Mikel Arteta going through the whole Villa ground. And that's how they ended this documentary with the final episode. And that's where they left it off, segueing it into the next one. But yeah, that was my little recap of the 3 episodes. Let's see what some of your comments are. It's peak if he joins Chelsea. You know what? We're only going to stick to the all or nothing stuff. Big up to you. People saying, to be honest, all or nothing is just PR stunt. If you think about it, it's common sense. You know what? I wouldn't say it's PR. I would say they're actually showing us behind the scenes some of the things that we need to see as fans. Ramsdale gets it. Saturday, Vari. Stop it. You're hating. You're a hater, bro. You're a Leicester fan, of course. I dare Arsenal to sing. Man, no one's going to do that. He's the real captain. We'll figure it out. But yeah, anyways, really do appreciate it, guys. I'll be back later tonight. I thought those 3 episodes were really, really good episodes. And I thought they were really, really good and interesting in the sense that we get to see the inside behind the whole Aubameyang debacle and what truly happened between the Aubameyang thing. He wasn't supposed to go to Spain. He wasn't allowed to. They didn't tell him to go to Spain. He was supposed to be in training, but he went to Barcelona anyways to get the transfer done. It's pretty crazy when you really think about it. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. You guys have yourselves a wonderful night. And just a quick recap of what we learned from this past episode. some of the things that we learned about the truth behind the Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang stripping of the captaincy. He was stripped because of his behavioral issues. Martinelli's relationship with Mikel Arteta, and Edu being very strong, and him being an integral part of that moment when Aubameyang went down. Mikel Arteta being a very good man motivator, and everything else with that. We also learned about Granit Xhaka and his struggles, and also his connection to the team and how he is as a person and as a human being. We learned about Ben White fighting for his respect with the fans, and trying to earn the respect of the crowd and everything else. We learned that Aaron Ramsdale is a true professional and wants to fight and win every single game that he plays. And not only that, he wants to get a clean sheet every single game. And if he doesn't get it, he near perfection, he is going to be upset, and he's a perfectionist. But yeah, all that plus more. There's 2 more episodes coming out on August 18th. Number 7 and number 8. We'll be doing a reaction to that too. But you guys have yourselves a wonderful night. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction video, and let me know what you guys thought. Leave a comment in the comment section. Have a good day, and you guys already know what it is. The Kitty G on EGTV. I'm out, people. Peace.